And hey, we're live. Larry, hello, Larry. Hey, we have a friend.
And yes, we got an old friend back for some new topics.
New topics,
right?
really?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
gosh, hold on a
Amorita's got
second.
a lot of things that she's going to
Let me
tell
get
us
my
about.
index cards. Where do they put
Yeah,
those?
yeah, we got. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not. Amorita, okay, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell
Yes,
us a little
please.
bit about what's going on, because I'll tell you, it's been a while. It's been a
Sure.
minute.
So I'm Amorita Christian. I worked with you all back in the day when I was living in Minneapolis, well, Twin Cities. And since we worked together, I've done more consulting. I've been doing a bunch of stuff though.
Wow.
Consulting, project program management mostly. I've been teaching a web development class, and I'm helping to write a curriculum for that one because right now it's just HTML and CSS. Oh, the kids are getting a little bored with it, so we're going to add some JavaScript to it. And in the program, they also learn their courses where they can do Unity, iOS, and Android. So,
nice.
yeah,
Wow.
so fun stuff.
Unity, so they can do games now.
Yes, they are learning that.
They'll
Now,
be
I'm not teaching
responsible
that
for
one.
more ads, so they're hitting me.
So I'm not teaching that one. In fact, I am working behind the scenes now, so I can work on some of my other stuff. But we're working to customize the curriculum. It's actually fun times. The way I got into it was so crazy when I first moved here to Tulsa. It was something I wanted to do and didn't know how to do it, how to go about it, and randomly ran into the executive director of a nonprofit who already has a program up and running, needed instructors. So there I was.
Wow, this is nice community work that's going on. It's like in Oklahoma. Okay.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So that's usually the path, as they say, to greatness is true community work. When you start taking your work and actually helping the community, and I would say that not just commendable, but it is a path to actually learn more about what we do. Because hey, what is it like? Regular corporate clients will ask for certain things, but let's just say the community. In fact, you're talking about kids. Will seem to have a new thing that makes you think out of the not just out of the box, literally out of the landscape, and start thinking about different ways of thinking of things, of maybe what to call them and what to build, and that actually make
Come on,
back.
Ralph, you can say out of this world. We see your background, man.
Yeah, that's true. So I got my background to match my hat over here from. I'm still promoting my Disney experience. Needless to say.
But no,
worthwhile.
That's great though. I mean, and HTML and CSS is so fundamental. I mean, it's almost to the point that we don't even notice it too much anymore. I mean, it's strange, but there's so much that we don't do with it that we could. Right? I mean, back in the day, people did a lot of really nice, interesting, fun CSS tricks. That
CSS or even HTML tricks, yes,
and straight HTML tricks too.
Link tag.
but it's more powerful than people are using today.
Yes,
that's cool.
I look at it as like it's not just fundamental. It's not just 101. It's not the so-called college level thing anymore. And I agree. It's what why the kids are getting bored, because like. When back in our day, when it was fresh for us, it was like, whoa, this is powerful. This was the low codey sort of way of doing things back in the time. And now as we start looking back at it, it's like, oh, that was like so straightforward. We've outgrown it, maybe to some extent, and we've gotten a little bit jaded and forgetting when the kids come at it and they're like, you know what? Even we've outgrown this. We haven't even started growing, and we're already outgrowing this. Give us something. Give us something, Amorita, we can actually sink our teeth into, like something we can make monetize.
So we cut you off. We got out before we got finished. You got more stuff that you've been doing. I mean, that's the tip of the iceberg here.
Right.
So I've done that. I just wrapped up a business accelerator course and an incubator last week. We met with the investors. So the demo was on Friday. And then, no, it was Thursday. And then the talk with the investors was on Friday. I didn't present, the CEO presented. I'm the CTO of the company. But that's been really fun. We're building an app to close the communication gap between member-based organizations and their members. So we're using push notifications so they get their messages out. And as a byproduct, customers like me who want to know more about small businesses will be able to find those businesses on the app. And
Wow.
so I got on the project because of my love for travel and my support of small businesses. I want to be able to find the small businesses whenever I'm traveling. So this app lets me do it. So we've been working on UI UX. I've learned a whole lot about UI UX over the last 6 months, and we're moving into the development phase now, which is kind of cool. Larry, after we talked last week, I did start playing with Powerapps, and after I get off this call, I'm gonna create it because last week was crazy. It was
Right.
busy prepping for the demo, reading about all the investors we were going to be talking to so I could have educated conversations with them, and just learning the lingo of investments and incubators and accelerators and all the seed and
Wow.
pre-seed, and it was way out of my league. I should have listened more during my finance class when I was in school.
Well, I'm not sure they had that in finance class actually back then, frankly.
Oh, okay, so it's okay that I
So
didn't
it's
listen.
okay.
Yeah,
You're learning like the rest of us.
It's actually cool stuff though.
Nice.
So that's exciting to learn in this context too, where it actually makes sense to me now and
Wow.
to be learning it. I did that.
Now, what I'm excited for is that you know it, and see that way I don't have to.
Well, that's right.
No,
Yeah.
no,
So we actually when we can say we know somebody that can help us is like,
I know
Yeah,
some-
yeah, this is true because I have to learn it myself right now. So it's like
well,
I got to know the questions to ask, and knowing something isn't sounding just right, you know.
Oh.
yeah, cool.
Here.
So
So that's fine.
I've got an app coming up too, right?
Oh, really?
Well, no, it's just at the idea stage, right?
Okay,
It's
okay,
I call it the Norm app. Okay.
okay.
The norm
And
app.
what it is, catch me now. You like travel, right?
Mhm.
So for me, traveling to a different place and to a new city is kind of rough, right? Because you go to a bar and you don't know anybody. So what you do is you have this Norm app and you pay a little fee, and when you come in the room, you know they use geofencing and they see you coming. So the bartender says, "Oh, here's somebody coming in that's using the Norm app, and it's going to be Larry, and he's going to come through the door, and I'm going to say, hey, Larry, what do you think?"
See,
I like that.
you know who Norm is, right? For the folks that are like watching this from overseas, let's give you context. Norm is this fellow from a TV show called Cheers, right? And Cheers, where everybody knows your name, is really there. Is the tagline for that a mythical place in Boston that maybe is not mythical anymore. Actually, I think they might have actually have a place because of that. And Norm, played by a very fan favorite Second City person also from Chicago, created essentially the character that would be like, I know everyone that comes in. He was when they said when everyone knows your name, he was the guy. He was the regular that was in there that literally was connected to everybody. So hence the Norm app. And I think I'm not sure if he's already retired in LA or wherever he is. Maybe we should let's think about getting a hold of Mr. Norm.
I'm too old. My reference isn't my reference. That's like talking about 8 tracks, right?
Well, or like saying to Leave It to Beaver app or something. It's like, or something like that. Who's what? Leave it to what? What are you talking?
I don't know what the new name would be though. I'm so out of touch. I don't know who the new Norm is.
Who would be the new Norm? We'd have to go look at some newer TV show like I don't know. Raquel can help us actually. Find some shows.
See, it's not even going to be a TV show. It's going to be a TikTok channel. I mean, all this, are we done with TikTok? Is it gone?
No, well,
have we started with TikTok? Is the question. I haven't started. I know I need to.
I don't know. I don't think they have episodal type things in TikTok other than, well, you're subscribed to a TikTok and you will get listen small ones and stuff. But that's a really hard one. To be able to develop a character, you'd have to. That's why you had your episode shows. You had your chance to develop your character so people knows what's going on. All right. And if you're doing TikTok, it's like, how do you develop that? You'd have to literally have lots of views and people watching you all the time.
Well, but think about it now. I just want to back you up because, the Sunday comics, right, or the comic strips that used to be in newspapers.
That's right. That
was
crazy
very
thing.
Short form, but they came from comic books. Comic books were a long form, and you could say, well, how can you use 3 panels and develop characters.
Over time is basically.
Again, I'm talking about newspapers, and people don't even know what newspapers are.
I was just going to say, do we need to explain what newspapers are?
Yeah, that's right. Well, everyone knows, and when you say newsletter to someone, they actually think of an email blast as opposed to what used to be that little pamphlet that they used to throw into your inbox, or like, and just add to your paperwork.
Hey, tell me, can you remember the smell of the mimeograph machine?
Mimeograph. Oh gosh, what are you doing? Taking me back. Oh,
come on.
Whew.
Oh, see,
man.
We have fun.
Now, some people like to hang out in the gas station and just, I'm just saying.
It's different. Yeah.
Not that it's different. Probably be not good. The later on, see your doctor if that's what you like to do. Just saying.
All right, so Powerapps, though. Powerapps.
So you moved into that area, the low code. We talked about HTML, CSS, low codey stuff.
Right.
Powerapps. How did that come about?
I have an app that I want to develop, and I don't know how. Finding a developer is rough, and Larry convinced me that I could probably go in there and
Larry
do some
did
stuff
that
myself.
What? I'm going to have to say that my lessons to Larry have finally paid off, where Larry himself is actually able to talk someone into the bag of socks. I mean, the actual way of doing it.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? It's a great way to do a low fidelity, right? Because you don't need to have it coming from a designer for your MVP, right? And it gives you a chance to very easily and very quickly determine whether it's actually going to work as an app or not.
That's right. Quick prototyping, and it instantly ready to work on phones or anywhere else. So at least you get the idea. The app, of course, in the case of Powerapps, just for folks that need reference again, if who haven't been watching the show, is Powerapps, of course, works inside of the M365 environment. In other words, to access it, you need a license potentially to get it, which means either you have an M365 seat, you're federated, you're a guest, some way or form, you're in the Microsoft ecosystem to be able to use it. Now, that being said, Microsoft came up with the portals concept inside of Powerapp, and the idea is web pages that go to the outside, so you can do the same thing, not quite like with the app, but with like simple web pages. And the case, of course, there is you still end up doing HTML, CSS. However, the difference was they gave you a way to instantly, if you created data, to instantly create a page with editing and all that stuff, and you didn't have to do anything. So that's not low code, that's no code way of doing it. And now you get that, and now it's of course compatible also in a phone because they built those web pages to automatically be, responsive and all that stuff ready to go. The difference though in Powerapps is the canvas. Canvas looks like what you do in a traditional mobile app, and start building it. All right. So the question is though, if you came up with that and say, well, now I want to do this commercially, and I need to translate that out. It's like, well, here's the thing. The really cool thing that we're finding out is that the tools that are for mobile apps are almost low codey to the point where, like, if you prototype it in anything, it's going to work. I'm going to blow your mind here in just a second. In Powerapps, a new feature that's in there. If you go look at it, there's a preview feature. Go to Paint and build an interface. Just make a box, make some drop downs, put some pictures in there, and then upload that into Powerapps. It's going to create the app for you.
Really?
With the downloads, with the labels, with all these pieces, all there. Oh, wait. Take your phone, go take a picture of an app that you want to. Take a picture of it, bring it up. It's going to look at it, however it looks, and it's going to create that app. It's not going to have data. It's just going to have. It's going to guess that this might be a drop down. This might be just a text box. This might be a control for this. But it puts that all together for you. And of course, because it writes all the pieces, your only job now is to connect.
That is so cool. Like, it's the small things that just.
It's the small things,
I love all of that.
So it's in preview. If you go look at it, if you're going to your Powerapps, it's one of those little preview things you can do. Now, if you don't see it, and because maybe you're using Powerapps in an organization that is like locking things down or doing things very specifically, we have the concept in M365 called the Dev Tenant. Another thing that we've talked a lot about. Anyone can do this. Anyone who wants to do development of any kind. Hey, do you need something where you want to get a lot of data that you can play with, even if you don't care about the Microsoft stuff? Set one up for yourself, and it comes with all this free data, Contoso, Dontoso, all those kind of stuff. And it has Azure hooks. It's got everything on the M365 side, high development, low development, Powerapps, everything. So now, as a developer, I can be a pure, hardcore writer in my Azure pieces and connect to it and get stuff and make it sing.
It'll have 20. You can
25 free users that you can have with it. If you set up, for example, the sample data from Microsoft, you got 25 Contoso users. Well, not 25, 20 Contoso users.
Yeah.
Right.
20 users that are already there, that have passwords.
Already there. Good old Adele Vance, your favorite people from, with their faces, their pictures. They even have emails and events and a life, apparently, that you had no idea that they had. It's all in there, already pre-populated. Because what do we care about when we're doing development? It's like, hey, can you give me test data to make sure this stuff works?
Right.
And almost invariably, you ever run into this, Amorita? I'm sure you have. It's like, okay, we need some data that's going to work, and then you're waiting. You go and build the app so fast, and it's like, can we have some test data? And then they give you like 5 things. It's like,
right.
That's
not even realistic. Like, that's not what. No. I need real stuff. So they're going to give us
real test user 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not happening. It's like, you're going to do things and of course, usually if they're hiring folks like ourselves, it's because they want to do it at scale. It's like, this is not for 2 people in a back room that's just going to like have fun with each other. No, this is going to be for the world, or for at least I'm going to make money with this, and you're not going to make money with, again, 2 folks in the back room. You're going to get like a whole bunch of stuff going on. So I need scale. How do I do scale? Well, there's techniques, of course. And that's one of the things that we try to also teach clients how to do, right? We used to say, okay, you want to create data. Well, we can mine the data from what you have, and then we'll scrub it. Or you can say, what is the common things? Let's set up all your use cases, because this has never been done before. Get your data stuff, and then write tools, scripts, automation that will generate all this data, stick it somewhere in a data lake or someplace else that's big. And then when you run your tests, point it over there. And then sit back and then see what the baby Skynet tells you about how good your stuff is, yes or no. Right? But still, you need to have data, because please do not release something until you tried at least a few, not even a dozen, more than a dozen, right?
It's like it's like learning to drive your car in a parking lot and then having to get on the freeway.
Or get into New York traffic.
Or get into New York traffic.
After you learned in the parking lot of a Home Depot that's in, in the suburbs.
Car. No cars. New York traffic, forget that. Don't worry.
I accidentally crossed the bridge driving in New York, and once you're in there, you got to figure out a way how to.
That's pretty much it. You enter the maze. Welcome. It's like welcome. What is that movie? The one with Mad Max is like, welcome to the danger zone. The Thunderdome.
New Jersey is just as bad though. So either way, I felt I was gonna die that day, but I did.
We love you, New Jersey. We still love you.
The roads are all skinny, and people just don't care. I mean, they're hateful, some of them. I mean,
this is why over there you're not supposed to do your own gas in Jersey. They try to take something. They try to make it up to you. It's like, hey, we're going to do your gas for you, okay? It's like, well, I can burn it. No, that's not your job. We will pour
Nobody told me that when I first got there, so I was just breaking laws all willy-nilly.
You were breaking laws and putting gas. They're probably looking at you like,
gas.
Who's that lady?
And then people would come up like looking weird.
Can't do that, lady.
I didn't know.
You're not supposed to touch that. That's not your job.
I didn't know. Nobody told me. Never would have crossed my mind.
All right.
But back when I had a car and we were driving back and forth, I would get gas on either side. I wasn't doing that. I'm sorry. It just feels wrong to me.
It just felt wrong, right?
Nobody should be putting gas in my car but me.
And since nobody told me that, and I don't carry cash, of course I didn't have tip money for the person that's pumping my gas.
Oh, right? So that's the other part. So we have all the cloud, we have our Bitcoin. Let's not talk about Bruno or Ralph's money, but there's the concept that we still actually have to carry that legal tender around, because at some point you're with an individual person, and not everyone is so savvy to do a Venmo or whatever. Or maybe not yet. That I think that would be the next step. But they would have to how do we say, liberalize, I guess, is the only thing I think of, or nationalize the idea of a Venmo, where if you're born in this country as a citizen, instantly you have a Venmo. We can send you money. It's going to be somewhere, and it's going to be there's just no way anyone else can get a hold of it. How would we do that?
You laugh.
It sounds like a blockchain challenge of some
If only
sort.
there were a blockchain. Now you laugh, but I was on a subway recently. I had friends coming in and went to the airport to pick them up. And on my way back from dropping them off, a group of 3 singers got on and were doing a song because it's New York subway, right?
That's right.
Right time of day, you get a show with your ride.
Right.
And yeah, no, one of them took Venmo from somebody on the subway.
Yeah, so that's right. So before it's like you can ignore them. I have no money, and there's like cash, and then you're looking at them. You can ignore them or whatever. But now it's like, well, we have Venmo.
Hey,
and you're like,
they're high tech now.
Yeah.
It's really hard now. It's even getting harder to say no. Of course, so we revert to the old, I'm sorry, I don't speak English. I'm sorry. That's the only thing we can do now and stuff. Well, I saw that here in Chicago.
But that's
just
the thing,
recently,
right?
same thing.
It comes down to a pull.
Yes.
Technology.
A pull
right?
technology.
There has to be a demand before there'll be an app that will take that place.
Indeed. So I think I have to update my Venmo to at least get the points with the right bank account. It's been a while since I used it. But there's another one. There's Venmo. There's Zelle is the other one. Zelle, I think the idea, though, with Zelle, when it started, it was also only a few banks, so it was not exactly so useful. Here's what I'm noticing about Zelle. They've now expanded out into a whole bunch of banks. So chances are, maybe a Venmo, again, you were talking about pull versus push. A Venmo, you have to go and set up to make it happen. A Zelle is the case of, like, if you happen to be an institution that has it, you're going to get a notice that it's here. Whether you want it or not, it's actually on. If you get a message that someone sent you money, the first time you accept, the setup you're provisioned, which is like, that makes more sense to me. Oh, so by the way, whatever you do with the app, please don't make us have to go 5 different steps to provision. If the more auto provision you get, in fact, think about this with Powerapps, the more auto provision, because remember, you have the automation at your fingertips. Well, I already know your name. I already got your address because, well, you left it out there for me to ditch. You have it. All the stuff is out there. I got that. I can set you up now. What am I waiting for? I'm waiting for you to get consent. Say yes, and I'll take care of you. So, right? It's not the way iPhone works right now. It's basically
me, Ralph.
With
an iPhone. Say yes, and I'm gonna come to your house.
It's like you're saying, just accept. It's like,
well, here's the thing with mine. If I say yes, you're gonna go to my PO box.
Oh, well.
I don't like the whole house thing.
It is a place in the cloud that is a pointer to your PO box.
I don't like the whole you have to give me your physical address. There's a whole security thing with that. So I've only had pushback in a couple of apps that won't let me use a PO box at all. But that's what I use now.
Oh, that's very interesting. Now, and here's the thing, though, because we're here in the States. If we were like try to go GDPR with Europe and everything else, they're going to say, oh, that's exactly right. You should not have to give your address because nope, you can never do that. Why are you giving an address? The person just told you they don't want it. Well, here's the law. No, you can't have it. You actually have to fulfill all these requirements before you can even try. Because if we catch you doing without it, we pretty much it's not a baby fine. It's like, oh yeah, a few $1,000, I can keep paying that. No,
it makes a difference there.
I've seen what their fines look like. Their fines for GDPR mishaps. And mishaps, this is giving it kindly to the folks that are probably doing that in purpose, is if you have that mishap, it's going to cost you heavy the first time. So heavy that it'll basically prevent the second time. Unless, of course, you have an exit strategy to leave for whatever country that you're going to disappear to. Seriously, you got to have that total exit strategy. But that's the idea. We don't have anything like that here, except in, I think, California now has.
Probably, yeah.
So here's the thing. We have to think about these things also. Not just because, oh, well, we don't have that here, we don't have to worry about it. Watch out. There are, at least for us here in the United States, we have to start thinking about certain areas which they are going through. It's like, well, maybe I can go to court with that and all that stuff. Well, unless you are Warren Buffett with all the money and you have all the lawyers, then you think twice.
Yeah, we're trying to make the money. We don't want to spend the money. There's something wrong with this, right?
And in a lot of the cases, it's like, okay, what are you giving up? Why do you need it? What's going on? Well, we need it because it's going to help us with this. Unless your purpose is nefarious, you probably don't need it. If someone says, well, the marketing guy over here said we need this, or the VC person said we need to grab this information so that we can monetize that. And you have to tell them, like, look, well, let's stand aside the potential that's unethical. How about the side that says the customers will be happier if you don't? And if they're happier, they're likely going to want more. And if they want more, isn't that what you're looking for? Not the short term, I'm going to sell this data and make some money. Because that's short term.
I've been reading up on GDPR because it's stricter than U.S. guidelines, rules, or whatever. Right. And when we want to scale, I figure if we're already in compliance with it, then we don't have to deal with it on this side.
Another mind blow. Another mind blow for you. Remember I talked to you about that M365 tenant that if you can have, if you unless you're the tenant administrator. So in M365 is the concept of GDPR also. If you're in Europe, all you have to do is you go to the security and compliance area and just visit and just turn it on for yourself. And then all of a sudden, all of these policies and everything are all there. Just like run your own bits, run Contoso. Yeah, run it through GDPR and see the reports because it's basically there so you can understand how it works. If you want to learn how it works, you run it and it gives you these reports and you get to understand just by osmosis. Like, well, the thing just reported to me, I'm in non-compliance by 50%. Next thing you know, it gives you a to-do list of all the stuff. The act of just visiting those, even if you're not doing anything about them, is almost like a learning experience, right? I didn't know that you couldn't pour gas in Jersey, but then somebody told me, or somebody gave me the look. As soon as that happened, it's now muscle memory. Next time I go to Jersey,
right.
I will not do that again, right? Same thing. You don't have to be in the company and someone pay you for massive training for this to happen. All you have to do is see it. After you've seen it, muscle memory, just the act of seeing it at least gets in there. And unless you're Dory from Nemo, who's going to forget the next day, it's going to stick with you, right?
And so one of the things we want to do, of course, is scale eventually, right? Where we will have customers outside of the U.S. because I'll be traveling outside of the U.S. I need to know stuff. So early on, I was thinking about, okay, we need to accept foreign addresses and that kind of stuff, foreign phone numbers, which is easy, but just think about it. And so now my thing is, if we're going to have foreign customers, we definitely want to make sure that we can.
Yes,
we're GDPR compliant.
Well, exactly. But see, those people cost a lot of money to get lawyers to tell you how to do that. Before you pay for the lawyer, look at what you can do as a programmer or as a developer or as a designer off the bat, because there's some things that are just straight up. These are the 5 rules. Everything else is just sometimes a nuance of this. Well, if part A went to B on the sun when the sun is in the moon of, whatever, in the Aquarian constellation, whatever. But there's always going to be like that, just like OWASP, the top 10 of things. If you get this, you're 90% of the way, 90% of the way there, because usually the things that you're going to get killed on are one of those.
Big things,
right? We've learned that, right? We've learned that in securities. Like sometimes it's like, we got killed with a nuance. That you know what? When we read the news, it's someone got killed on something really basic. It's like a phishing attack. You gave away your password, dude. It's like the number one thing you didn't do, and you did it. It's like you had one job. They have a lot of those meetings. You had one job, right? And it's true. Sometimes it's like the most basic of basics are gonna get you. More so than the little, it was just a little bit, I didn't know, and that was the rule over here. They're going to let you slide that there, or you're going to get like a notoriety, maybe in Florida Man or something for a little bit on that, but that's it. The big guys are going to get you, and that's beyond Florida Man. That's I'm sorry, but you're Darwin Man. I mean, as in, we'll see you we're about to be evolved out.
So, Emery, is the app that you're doing, is there money changing hands through it?
Not yet. I haven't started yet. I still work on the designs and that part of it. I did have my first pitch competition though. It went horribly.
Well, at least you tried.
I'm prepped for the next one though. Yeah,
it's like stand up, right? Ralph was talking about Second City, right? It's like stand up, open mic night.
Right.
You have to pitch. In order to learn how to pitch, you've got to pitch.
That's right. And
And
we
you
learn
all know
how
I'm
that.
not the main one that's out there in front of it, like trying to talk to everybody. Larry, you know that's not me.
And yet you're here.
At some point, that's right. It's true. And well, here's the thing. At all points, everybody has to have an elevator pitch. If it's for their job, it's for or something, or just to convince the kids that no, apples are better than popcorn. You know, you have your elevator pitch ready to go. It's like, well, here's the thing. Especially if you have young stakeholders, you're convincing the folks that essentially are more obstinate than most normal, rational people. And actually, there are some that are more like these toddlers these days. But if you can pitch to them, you actually have 80% of what you need to pitch higher. It's like, well, you're gonna talk to the adults like you talk to kids. Well, here's the thing: they will come up with the most irrational or what may be perceived as irrational objections, you know, to what you're going. And if you can overcome those, that's like thinking on your feet.
Whoa. But the hard part is it's like Mark Twain said, right? I would have written you a shorter letter, but I didn't have time. Right? It's hard to get a pitch.
It's hard to get a pitch to think it through. Exactly.
It's small.
Yeah. So did you say only what you need to say? Yeah. And everything you say is impactful and all that kind of stuff. But we had drill after drill after drill, practice after practice, and we're still fine-tuning it, of course.
That's okay.
27 words. Go.
Yeah, but that's the way it works. In fact, and then we were talking about Second City earlier as a style, the whole improv thing. The idea of that of getting that muscle memory to make that word is just to keep trying everything, and that's shows like, for example, a TV show, a movie like Ghostbusters. That could have been like an improv idea. We had a little thing. Hey, we're gonna like bust some ghosts and do this little thing, and it was just a seed of an idea from Harold Ramis or whatever. And then he goes and writes it out, and then he stretches, and becomes a huge big thing. But at the end of the day, because they started from the seed, they have that muscle memory of doing the pitch, the quick pitch. But this is a good idea. Every time. I love this, especially when people are doing user stories. This is where I say, remember that thing, make it short. I don't know if you've ever seen the user story that looks like it was like the letter. It's like like
the novel,
the part chapter 1 of the letter or one of those. It's like your user story does describe it's very, very detailed. We love it. The QA person is like, yeah, we love it, but I think I'm going to take a different job now. See you later. Could you just break your user story so that instead of that monster, you have the piece? So that's the key, right? How to break things down. And we learn that skill, but sometimes we forget that is actually what people in the end need. Why is TikTok popular? Because at the end, I only need this much span to be able to get the message across. But it's practice, because I couldn't do a TikTok. Maybe I could, but I still don't think I can do a TikTok yet. I got to figure out if I can.
How many seconds do they give you a TikTok? That's how far removed I am.
That's a good question. Something like 30, not even 30 seconds. Raquel, you know the answer to this?
I think they upped it to a minute now. Since
Whoa.
I think, because you can find some pretty long TikToks. It's definitely 30 seconds at the very least, but pretty sure they upped it to a minute.
I remember 30 seconds. That seems like a familiar number. Just like the tweets used to be like so many characters. It used to be essentially the extent of a text message. And then all of a sudden they started
doubling
with that to monetize some extra stuff. But it's the end of the day.
The problem is that my brain still stops reading at 140 characters. So it's like I need people to condense it for me.
There we go. Or they'll condense it by saying, well, here's my Bitly link. Good luck. Click here, because I don't feel like condensing it. Just click over here and then flood.
Now you go to the whole thing. No,
now you go to a YouTube page, and then it's like, okay, hey, you clicked my link. It's too bad for you.
Too long didn't read, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's the way it is today. So.
But why do people put that at the bottom? That needs to be like at the very top.
No, yeah, exactly. That's bad etiquette to put it at the bottom. No, you put it up there at the very top, because then you can go further if you want to know more.
Exactly.
It's almost like putting linkable table of contents at the top of your long document. That sounds like a good idea. I wonder if they should do that in Word or something. We should talk to Microsoft. Maybe they'll take that idea.
Do that. Come on.
But this is a great idea. This is exactly right. So, by the way, so we're a public service over here. You're hearing us over here commiserating about this. So those folks that are listening, if they're not doing it, consider that we'll be more likely to give you a nice review on your website.
And so, Emery, one thing that I would suggest, just for fun, because I'll tell you, I learned a lot by going back and watching the videos that Ralph and I do. Just tape yourself doing a pitch. Let it set. Let it set for 3 or 4 days. Don't go right back. Let it set for 3 or 4 days, and then come at it fresh.
That's the part I didn't do. I didn't record it. I practiced at home in the mirror. I was so good. I even had a brush for my microphone to make sure that I could hold and click, and got up there. It's like I had never practiced at all. Like,
and it just like, what happened? It's like,
yeah.
It just disappeared. As they say, a best battle plan never survives the actual battle when it goes through. Yep.
Well, see, it's hard though. I mean, there's that imposter syndrome that gets in the way. It gets in the way every single day.
Raising my hand.
I mean, I hit it. But what you got to do is you got to if you let it set for 3 or 4 days and come back and watch it, you'll probably find out that you're better than you think you are. I mean, I'll tell you, I can tell you that you are, right? You've got ideas and you can pitch. It's just getting over that hump, getting it out there.
There's another one coming up in December. I missed the cutoff for September 8th, which I had too much going on anyway. But the next one I think is in October or December or something. So I'll get ready for that one. That's the cool thing. It's on my radar now, and I'm like seeing so many opportunities.
That's really nice.
Even just to do it for practice.
More tips if you want to do the rehearsal type thing. 2 things you can use in Teams now. There actually is record self. Is an ability. You can have a meeting with yourself and record yourself. And then the reason for that is like, you can actually, remember how like you can send like a message, just a voice message to somebody? Well, they expanded it to do a video message to someone. Then he said, well, if you could do a video message to someone, could you record yourself? Because what folks have been cheating, they've been like setting up a meeting and they're the only ones invited. Then they turn it on. Then they hit the record button. And that's how they're doing it. But that's sort of fake. This is actual. Record yourself, take the video, don't leave it with the masters of Teams, and you keep it. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2, PowerPoint comes with a practice thing that actually you can actually turn on the camera and it gets saved with the PowerPoint. So you get to watch yourself and the PowerPoint change with it. So it's like a rehearsal thing. So it's not only are you talking, but you're also talking along with your presentation.
Oh, nice.
So that's really hard to set up sometimes in Teams. Well, I got to share my screen, I got to do that, and it looks really weird. And this is PowerPoint. You don't need Teams. You don't need anything else. Off the bat. So, and these are, cool. I know I'm into the Microsoft tools, and perhaps some of the other tooling has that. If anyone can recommend those, please post it, because we feel it shouldn't be agnostic to one. But these are 2 ways to actually rehearse what you're doing. But what Amorita is saying is like it's actually beneficial if you want to get ahead, to actually take the time to make the effort. And however you succeed or not, it's like you're not going to get there if you don't even bother to try to take the effort.
Right.
Everyone told me that the first one wasn't as bad as I thought it was. You know how you're always.
It truly is not. It truly is not.
I just died in my head, but but I am glad that I got the first one out of the way. Kind of excited about the next one now that I know what to expect. I feel like I could.
It's called the first dent in the car syndrome, when you're after you buy the new car and you're like, no, I didn't like it. And then the first one happens, like,
that's a better example than what I had going through my head.
Well, we had to
yeah, it's a PG show. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be quiet over here.
Okay. I was thinking the car talk thing. We had to bring cars in.
Thank you, cars.
That's the first dent. It's that first dent that will do it.
First dent in the car you buy yourself.
Right? Yes.
It's got to be.
That's true.
It's got to be one that you bought yourself with your own money.
Yeah. After the first dent, you just can park with everybody else. Then like no parking outside.
My mom, she's 88. God bless her. She still drives. She's actually the Uber driver for her friends, practically, and still doing that. And so she's come to the point where, like, that was to her high stress when we were telling her it's time to get a new car. Mom, you cannot be in that car. You got to get a new car. It's like, oh, I want my stick shift. I want to have that. I said, Mom, they don't make those anymore. Not like that. It's like, well, they had the stick shift, and they looked at these Nissan. It had like 6 gears, and it was like a button and stuff like that. And she was like, oh, I can't do that, Mom. It's time to go automatic. Anyway, what's going to happen? It's like, well, when I get stuck, I want to be able to push the car. Mom, you're 80 something. You're not going to push the car. Go automatic. So she said, okay, fine. So she has a new car, and she's like driving like so carefully until finally the first one going to church and hit the wall a little bit. All right. And after that, she's like, oh, heck with it. So now I try to explain people who park behind us in the alley. It's like, okay, let me explain to you why you don't want to park there. Number one, we have an 88-year-old who's driving. Number two, she plays bumper cars. I present evidence. One, she has not bothered to take the car to get it fixed or anything. He said, oh, yeah, you got a scratch. Go, they'll fix it for you or whatever. She said, forget it. Leave it as is. Let people see. And maybe they will not mess with my car, or for that matter, if they see bumper cars, they will not mess with me. And she's right. People will avoid her when they see like, oh, the 88-year-old has got the bumper cars and is ready to come out. Maybe they might hit me and not care because they're 88. Hey, come sue me or whatever. It's like, good luck. So, and then what happens? It's like the Red Sea parts. Yeah. And she gets through.
I can remember parking, at Kroger's, right? The grocery store, parking back at the end of the parking lot where there were like 7.
And then you still get hit because somebody will throw a freaking thing.
Somebody would let a cart go by.
Exactly. It almost doesn't matter. You can try whatever you can, but karma's going to get you. No matter what happens, it's going to be like, karma's like, hey, what? You haven't had a scratch in how long? I'm sorry. I've been remiss in my duties. It's time to visit Larry.
Are you pitching locally, or are you traveling to pitch?
Because right now it's just local. Right now it's local. Right now.
See, I'm saying you travel anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could travel to somewhere that has a pitch day going on.
I could do that. I hadn't thought about it, but that's like a 2-in-1. I get to travel and I get to pitch.
Right.
Win-win.
And it can be tax deductible.
In that particular case, yes. And it's much easier to get the tax deduction than to do a virtual of that. Yeah, you can practice virtual, but that's not the point. The point is to that interaction, that live. It's live. We're live. That's different.
And the cool thing with traveling, going somewhere else is I probably don't know anybody in the audience. I probably wouldn't be as nervous. Like, they don't know me, so whatever.
Hey, that's George, baby. That's why I'm here.
There's truth to that.
I like that idea.
Subway line, and back before, I would do the same route every day at the same time. I never saw the same person. It didn't matter what I did. That's what New York's about.
Mm-hmm. There's truth to that. That's why my reason also why I love living. Also, I'm in Chicago, so I'm like the babier version of New York. But it's the same thing. It's like you see something different every time. You're not seeing the same stuff over and over, exactly the same. Like I'm, in like Groundhog Day going on. It's different all the time. There's things to do, and if like you can't run out of things to see.
But Amorita, you're in a different. I mean, community-wise, startups are smaller, right? There's entrepreneurial. Tulsa's not small. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Tulsa's a small place, but
Tulsa is pretty major, actually.
Yeah. If you take out just the entrepreneurs, I mean, that really cuts your population.
Oh, absolutely. So I discovered how small Tulsa is, though, when I ran into one of my students in the restaurant, and I wasn't in, teacher mode, best behavior mode, that kind of thing. I'm like,
it's like just like that.
I
How about it?
Yeah, so
that's nice, though, right?
It dawned on me how small it is right there. So, like, okay.
Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes this is there's at least even in New York and in Chicago, we have the concept of the neighborhood. We can think local in our small area. There will be that piece. In my case, though, I'm in one of those transition type neighborhoods. So literally, so across the street apartments. So let's just say the Gen Xers and everyone else, the Gen Zs, will be going in and out on a yearly basis. So every month there's the U-Haul people, new people coming in, new people going out. they come out, which is great though, because every time I do my bit, if I do music or something outside, everyone's like, "Oh wow, we haven't heard that before." It's like, "Yep, new audience." I get a new audience every. Yes, I get a new audience. I'm not charging them anything, but hey, it's interesting because maybe I'll get different requests, different ideas, things to think about.
Well, I mean, and for real here, I can look out my window and a block that way is a restaurant that we eat at 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh,
Right.
really?
I mean, not eat at, but we get food from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're a regular, but there's regular stuff to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
So
I
we
think
get
that's
it. We get it. They know who we are.
yeah.
You know, our order is pretty standard,
Mhm.
and they're like, okay, yeah, and this and this, yeah.
That
We
is
got-
our small town ties are in there. At the end of the day, you're going to have your local community, your local group, your, as I say, at the end of friends and stuff, and then you need the cloud for the rest, right? And that's what hey, that's what we're all about over here. It's like the concept of we can scale our friendships
So
beyond
educating,
our everything, right? And yeah, it's great to travel, but it's great to find out before you get there what to expect a little bit. I mean, it's always going to be different, no matter how much you can watch all the YouTubes about like a trip to Scotland that you want. But when you actually get there, it's going to be different because it's you in that situation that the AI did not come up with the possibilities of the things you can happen. Just that's all there is to it.
Amorita, get your pencil out, because
Okay.
I'm thinking tie-ins with Airbnb.
There we go.
I mean, think about that, right?
Mhm.
Tie-ins with Travelocity. It's not Travelocity anymore. Whatever the ones used to be.
Travelocity is still out there. There's Expedia that's still out there. There's Hotels.com. There's a whole bunch of other.
HipHop died. I think they died, but yeah. I mean, think about the hotel chains and being able to.
A lot of them have open APIs that they're not necessarily you have to be a member or to pay for, because they'll give you that because they want you to connect. And they'll go out of their way. Sometimes they'll say, "We'll give you. You can have this for free, but if you want to get our list, then you become a partner with us, and then we'll work out. You know, every time someone does a deal with you, we'll get this." But those are the ideas. A lot of the cases, again, APIs are they rule. You learn this when you do the Powerapps stuff, and you realize at the end of the day, it's not about, again, we talk about the data. It's not about the front end piece. What is it connected to?
There you go.
APIs rule, right? We were like just going and find what kind of data is out there to play with, and we're like shocked of the data that's actually free. That seems like aren't people paying money for this kind of stuff? Yeah, they're paying for money for people to analyze that stuff, but raw data. Good luck. You got space?
Yeah.
That's how we're going to build in payment processing, events, and ticketing, all APIs out with somebody else. We don't have to worry about.
Exactly. That's the way to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've been talking about that. Sometimes we'll have episodes where we say, what are the ones that are out there that are doing this kind of work where that you would just simply connect to them and then they take care of all that plumbing for you. And in fact, for a lot of the payment system and everything else, remember we said about GDPR, it's like, oh, we got to be really cared about GDPR.
Right.
And what happens with clients is like, well, we want to be GDPR compliant. We want to do all this stuff. It's like, and we tell them like, if you just used what's built into that product, you don't have to even see PII ever. It's like, we want to maintain the PII. Okay, then you're going to have to be ready to comply with all these rules, or you give it up. And I would like a certain insurance company that I worked with not too long ago. I was in Magenic when that happened. I went over there and they went me to evaluate doing that for them. And then I came back and said, why don't you just let the third party do it? I was like, why would we pay them to do it? Because you remember that liability that you're already planning for and spending $1 million of insurance, and their insurance company, that you had to do. If you give it to them, they have a little clause that says, we own it, we have it, we're the ones that have to be compliant. And if we fail, you sue us.
That's right.
How about it?
In terms of all the payment stuff, we want to be hands off. So like that was one of the first vendors that we looked for. Who can we partner with to let them handle that? And the bonus is that we get revenue sharing with it. So
there we go. And sometimes you have to give up something, right? You got to give up something. But this is the point. The point is like, do I want that big liability, the knife over me that could happen at any time, or can I just give up a little bit and share? And let me share. Okay, fine, let's do it.
And
honestly, that one was not a hard sell.
That's not a hard sell.
Good. Well, that's not your business. That's not the point that you're trying to
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm not in the business of inventing a payment transaction system. I'm in the business of servicing your piece over here.
if you're now, I will say if you're an enterprise, right? If you're huge, it could be that it's worth it for you to do your own version of something.
Right.
But you have to be huge. And most of the companies, even the enterprises that I've worked with, they're not that big. There's only like 6 that are big enough to care.
That's right.
Right?
You know, that's the story of Microsoft and Google going into the cloud business. So Amazon says, we got all these machines, they're not doing anything. And somebody said they had a great idea. You know what? Like just like the rack space folks and everything else, if I do this at this scale, I'm going to make a killing. And yeah, they were right. Then and Microsoft said, well, we got that kind of stuff. Let's do it too. And then Google says, well, damn, we got way more than you do. We're going to do that also. You know, and all of these people just realize they're at scale to do it, because otherwise they would have been like Yahoo and everyone else, let's just hire those folks to do it. And then Yahoo just realized like, oh crap, we had that stuff and then we just outsourced it. Shoot, we could have been in that business. Maybe Yahoo would have been one of the cloud pieces. Who knows? They could have been there, but they gave it up because they said that's not our business model. But for the folks that are small that attempt to do that, it's like saying, yeah, I want to be the mountain. Yeah, sure.
I will say, you know, in the entrepreneurial mode, there are times when you're trying to solve a problem and you look for one of those partners and you don't find one. That's when you pivot.
Yes.
Right. That's when you say, hey, nobody's
doing it.
Processor that works this way. Well, of course, there are a lot of payment processors, but if you have a different thing that you're looking for and no one's doing it, maybe you pivot to that and let that be your job.
That's true. So now you're talking.
Spin off, right?
That's right.
You find a really good friend who's been very, very nice and upfront and helpful.
Yeah.
Hint. Larry, you just got your job.
Ideas are cheap, right? It's implementation that matters.
Yes.
It's time. It's putting in that effort. And
right. I can spit out ideas all day, but actually implement them is a whole
pretty much what we do over here. We're just basically throwing out stuff for other people to make money on. It's like, and one day we'll say, yeah, I thought that one up. Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, I taught him everything. You know, the guy that says, I taught him everything he knows. Yeah. It's like, yeah, sure. Sometimes I can say that because, like, well, actually, there's my little DNA in that particular thing. You can hear, like, in the show. That might happen once in a while, but for the most part, if it gives me the convenience in the end, it might have been, I don't care if it was my idea or whatever. If I was one of the folks that was in the focus group that said, yeah, please make this happen, and it happens, I'm not going to go and ask for my share. I'm going to say, make this happen. You made my life easier. That's all there is to it.
I like it.
That's the way.
All right, and we're getting close to the end here. Is there anything that you were expecting us to ask that we didn't ask?
Well, you told me you were going to ask me about movies, shows, and books, and I had to go dig up what I've been reading. Because I don't watch books. Yeah. So, actually, Killers of the Flower Moon just finished.
Noting.
Just finished filming here in Tulsa. I have the book right here that I have to read before the movie comes out next summer or whatever. So, and actually I've been doing book clubs, trying to feel grown up and responsible, reading books and stuff.
Reading books.
But I did have to put it on pause for a bit while I was doing the Accelerator. But now that that's over, I can get back to reading books.
There we go.
Yeah, but.
Will you read an actual physical book, or will you go and open up one of those pads and go on?
I'm old school and I buy the books, but I need to get better at listening to books. And the reason I can't is my mom and dad's fault, because they would read to me at bedtime and I would go to sleep. So now I'm trying to read again, or
reading
be able to not buy the book, because I only read it once and then I need to do something with this book, right? So I'm trying to get better with that part and doing the audio books.
Now, I'll tell you also, just a heads up, your local library, they'll have an audio book. They'll have a way for you to listen to books that they own on tape.
Yeah, I have to get over there. You're not the first person that told me that, and I still have not done it.
Look, we moved from Manhattan to Brooklyn. There's a Brooklyn library system and the Manhattan library system. They're both there, and they're both. I mean, come on, Tulsa's got a good library system.
Yeah, I've actually been in there for other stuff, just not to look at books and get books.
Check it out. You don't have to get
will.
The technology is democratized, so they have it out there.
Libby or Overdrive, they'll have some way of you being able to get your books from home on your phone, on your computer or whatever.
Because I don't do well with Kindle either. I have Kindle. I never use Kindle.
Yeah, I got my 2 Kindles over here still. There was like something too fixed on it because I have it on the phone.
Your phone, whatever.
Yeah.
You can do it there. All right. So
okay, I'm adding it to my to-do list.
I got the film hookup. I'm gonna Killers of the Flower Moon coming out in 2023.
Right.
I'm gonna IMDb us with the link for that.
I'm gonna have the book read before 2023.
There we go. That's probably a good plan. That's a good. That'll be otherwise a long book.
Hey, I'll tell you. Guilty pleasure here. I just got through listening to Typo Negative's Summer Breeze. For back in the day.
That's wild.
Summer Breeze is an old song, but they did a take on that. That is.
I remember the song.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Summer Breeze.
So but their take on it is dark.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's it. That just killed my music part. We're gonna play that tonight.
It is laid back.
Since I've been here, I branched into. I went to my first and last opera, so that was kind of cool. And then they had the Star Wars where they had a live symphony with it. That was really cool seeing it that way.
That's cool. Yes.
So I do like the art scene here, the theater and that kind of thing.
So cool. Tulsa is not a slouchy town at all. It's actually a destination. True, I agree.
Yep.
And even when I was there years ago with Reuters, it was back then. I can imagine now it's just better.
I like it.
Nice.
Until I have a reason not to be here, this is where I'll be.
And that's okay. That's why we're in the cloud. We can be wherever we want to be and still. Hey, and look at us. Look at us. All right.
So I'm not gonna ask you what your favorite Pokemon is. I was kind of kidding. I'm sorry.
There's a favorite Pokemon. You actually brought that as a interview question.
I put that in there.
Okay, I didn't prepare for that. I don't know what my choices are.
There's that yellow guy.
It's okay. Squirtle.
No, we're not going to go crazy.
I'm more of a Hello Kitty type person than Pokemon.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, I really enjoyed it, Amorita. We need to get back together and find out how things are going sometime.
Yes,
absolutely, anytime.
We're going to put a bookmark because we're going to follow up in a few months to see here's where it started and here's where it's going.
I'm going to have my Powerapps stuff done by then. Maybe I'll start reading the book, and I'm going to have a lot of updates for you all.
So learn.microsoft.com to learn it more. But again, you're now in the family. Hey, we welcome you to the family. Yes, you're in the
special.
You're in the family now. It's okay. If you need something, just talk to the family. We don't see you except for weddings once in a while. Show up a little bit more. Who said that? But yes, seriously, ping. You can ping us, and then
all right.
Who knows? I might be a Powerapps person that might be able to give you something. Just saying.
For sure.
I love it. Thank you, Bo.
Everybody be safe.
All right, thanks. Goodbye.
Raquel, sign us out, Raquel. Thank you. And scene.